welcome to the Best You 2022 Virtual Women's Summit Leadership Training Track. My name is Marnie Swedberg, and I am the host of this summit as well as a missions ministry mentor. I have written 13 books, and all of my books in e-version are included in the mentorship program at marnie.com. Plus, there's a lot of training there if you want to write and get published yourself. So we'd love to have you over there. Just now, I'm super excited to introduce you to Shari Fitzpatrick and her program, Lead with What You Love. Share this out, invite a friend to join you right now, and don't forget to download the whole schedule so that you can go back and listen to the sessions that are going on right now, as well as those you've maybe missed earlier on. Over at Best You 2022, you're going to find Shari's free giveaway, which is an inspirational worksheet for you. And if you stay to the end of the program, you might be one of the winners announced. You must be present to win. At the end, we're giving away 2 prizes, so don't go anywhere. Lead with What You Love is Shari's program, and you're going to feel inspired to start towards your most fruitful life, turn your passion to profit, and take that first step toward achieving your dreams during this session. Shari's going to share the importance of doing what you love, how to never give up despite some dips along the way, and how to take your idea out for a spin. Shari Fitzpatrick is a creative business innovator and risk taker with only $1,600 and no business experience. She grew her own hobby of dipping strawberries into a multi-million-dollar Sharis Berries brand. I want you to join us right now for this program, but also consider inviting Shari to speak at your next upcoming women's event. She's available as a speaker over at womenspeakers.com. Shari, take it away.
Come with me now behind the scenes to see how millions of these berries get dipped one at a time.
Getting 500,000 fresh, delicate, perishable chocolated strawberries out the door on February 13th, but the rest of the year is pretty good time.
This was the perfect gift for the upcoming holidays.
You're going to get that call, you're going to get that reaction that you're looking for. That's not just roses, it's not just chocolate, the two combined together. Destined to sell strawberries for a living.
Hello, my name is Shari Fitzpatrick, and I'm a professional strawberry dipper.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be here with you today, and thank you for taking time out of your busy life. We're all so busy, and you're going to give me an hour of it, and I appreciate that. And I hope that during this hour, you'll find some humor and some hope and some inspiration to kick off this year with some motivation and maybe take your idea or your passion out for a spin. So as I prepared for this summit, I'd rather be with you in person. I like feeding off your energy. I'm tempted to tell you all to just unmute your mics because I want to know that you're there. And I can see some of you, and I appreciate that. But if I was really there with you, you would have just eaten one of my chocolate dipped strawberries. When I take the stage at live events, I serve my berries to the entire audience just before I take the stage because I want to make sure they really like me right away. And I started thinking about technology, and change is so constant in our world, especially today. We don't know 1 week for the next what we can plan or do or hope for. And I started thinking, well, with technology, Zoom and StreamYard, they have all these cool things these days, like we are here today. And I'm in my living room with no shoes on, which is cozy. But I thought, I'm not able to give you strawberries. So I thought maybe there could be some new technology coming up. So I have one of my chocolate dipped strawberries here. And I brought it because I thought we could do some like virtual tasting, like scratch and sniff or something. So I'm going to hold this up here to the mic here, the microphone and the camera. And maybe you guys can like come up really close and scratch your screen and see if you can smell it or lick it, taste it. I don't know. All right, well, it was worth a try. So here we go. I was definitely destined to sell strawberries for a living. I grew up in Southern Oregon, and my dad always had a garden which included a strawberry patch for me. And somehow it became my job to go out and pick the berries. And that's where my love affair with strawberries began, and I've loved them ever since. My dad told me a story a while back about some kids in that little neighborhood. He still lives in the same house and has the same garden. And he told me that these kids across the street had a really unique lemonade stand. Their sign said 10 cents, all you can drink. I thought, wow, that's a really good deal because he was going out to mow his yard and it was hot. So after he got done, he goes in the house and gets a dime. Thought I'm going to take advantage of that. And he goes across the yard and he sits down his dime and he said, I'll have a glass of lemonade. So they poured him up in those little tiny itty bitty pixie cups full of lemonade. And he quickly washed it down and he set down his empty cup and said, I'll have some more. And they said, well, that'll be another dime, sir. He goes, well, wait a minute. Your sign clearly says 10 cents, all you can drink. And they go, yeah. And for 10 cents, that's all you can drink. I think, us entrepreneurs, it's in our blood to be a little funky and different. And they work for those kids. So you never know. Maybe there was something in the water in that neighborhood. I don't know. But when I graduated, this is a picture of me when I graduated from high school, my graduation day. And I was with my boyfriend at the time, this guy named Clay Fitzpatrick. I was madly in love. Damn, he's so gorgeous. I was madly in love, and girls, I would have married him that day. But God had other plans for me, and he was going to make me wait for 10 years. I actually graduated from the same high school that my grandmother did. This was in Southern California, and where I'm from. So, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my future. And I think I was quick to find out. A couple of years later, I moved to Los Angeles and I became a mortgage broker for my brother's company. And I was there for 4 years and I grew up really fast. And my sister-in-law, Emily, is this amazing cook and caterer. And she introduced me to the concept of dipping my beloved strawberries in chocolate. So they became my signature gift as I was a mortgage broker in Los Angeles and called on real estate agents. And that's how I did that. And it was during this time in my life, I learned the importance of doing what you love for your work or your career, because life is so short. It goes by so fast. And if you can do what you love for your job or your work, it makes for a much more fruitful life. And it doesn't seem like work. So I learned during this time that, if anything that you put your heart and soul into and hard work, if you're passionate about something and you're not afraid to do some work to get it done, that's when success happens. Because when you add hard work and passion together, that is definitely when dreams come true. So after 4 years in Los Angeles, I was a little homesick. And so I moved to Reno, Nevada, and I answered an ad and I became a stockbroker. I always loved working with numbers and learning new things. And I did a crash course and became a stockbroker, got my Series 6 and 7. At that time in my life, I thought to be successful, you had to have a maybe prestigious job title. What did I know when I was 24? I don't know. But anyways, I continued to do my stockbroker, and after 9 months, I decided to move to Sacramento. I loved being a California girl, and you know that old high school sweetheart. Well, he had moved to Sacramento while I was in Los Angeles. And any guys that are watching this, if Clay was here, he would tell you that I was stalking him. But anyway, it worked. So, yay. Anyway, I came to Sacramento, and I kind of got my aha moment when I was in Reno. I was doing a financial class, and somebody came up to me because I continued to serve the berries when I did my financial classes. And someone said, "You mean you can do this chocolate stuff, and you're doing this stockbroker thing?" And I was like, "What? You mean I could maybe do my hobby and have fun instead of this stressful, negative atmosphere of trying to sell investments?" And so I came to Sacramento, and I got a 1-bedroom apartment and in a brand new town where I knew nobody except my high school sweetheart. And I got a $1,500 cash advance on a credit card. And with no business education or experience, I took my passion and hobby of chocolate strawberries and I hit the pavement. I've always been a guerrilla marketer, which means I always had to use very inexpensive and unconventional ways to market my product, kind of like that lemonade stand. And basically, what I can tell you, number one thing is just excellent customer service. No matter what your product or service is, the customer is always right. No matter how wrong they are, they're always right. And then put out a top quality product. I would always rather sell fewer contracts or products at a higher price, more quality, than a whole bunch of cheap stuff. It kind of keeps the riffraff out too. So that's always worked for me. And then just take really, really good care of your staff. My husband always reminded me that I'm only as strong as my weakest link. And it's just important to take care of our staff. I've never asked one of my employees to do something that I haven't done or wouldn't do myself. And I once heard that our employees and people that work on our team take care of our clients and our customers the same way that we take care of them. So take good care of your staff. And I think, with the first year, I think I gave away more berries than I sold. So if you can use your product or your service to market yourself as you start your company, then you get the, perceived value of what it would really cost for them to send your product or your use your service. But you're getting kind of like getting the potato chips out there. You give them some for free and get it out there and have people try it, and you kind of gets the rocket taken off real fast. So I was raised by a stepdad who trained me to work hard, but play hard. And so during the years, I have had a lot of fun building my business. I can remember one time coming home from vacation and thinking, I can't wait to get back to work. And it was at that point I knew I was on to something. So I am a huge game show fanatic, game show queen. And I was thrilled when I found out that the producer, Wheel of Fortune, was a client of mine. And so he would let me this was at Sony Studios down in LA. And they would tape 3 shows at a time. And he let me give away my berries on the wheel and entertain the crowd during the tapings. And I had a lot of fun with that. And I remember Willie Nelson came to town one time, and I got to go on his bus. This is on his bus. And I got to bring him berries. And every time I look at this picture, I think, why didn't I braid my hair? What was I thinking? Like, major missed photo opportunity. And then it turned out that Oprah really liked my strawberries and published us as one of her favorites in her O magazine. And that was a nice feather in our cap as we rolled out our national efforts. So when my business was in its 4th year, Clay and I were married. I got my man, and we wanted to start a family right away. And this was a time in my life that I became a Christian. And I'm so grateful that young in my career and when my children were little, I learned the importance of having my priorities in the right order. I was taught early to have my faith always first, and then my family, and then my work last. You know, we have our whole life to work, but we have one shot at being a great mom or dad. And I'll never forget, my pastor told me, Shari, I've never heard of anybody on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time at the office. And I never forgot that. And it's been a huge, huge part of my success, because you want to come home, build your house and your family on a solid rock, and have a place to come home filled with peace and joy and love. And that's why you work anyways, is to support your family. So anyways, shortly after Clay and I were married, we had our first son right away, and he wasn't supposed to live. It was a very traumatic labor, and he was in ICU, and they called up the chaplain, and that was my very first big loss of my life during my career. And 2 weeks later, we left with this healthy baby boy, and it was a miracle. And today he's dedicated his life to giving back and helping troubled youth to have a better future, and I'm so proud of him. But these days, a lot of us need hope. Maybe we've lost our job, or we hate our job, or we're exhausted from all the change and the loss. And I just want to tell you that, just think of it as like driving a car. You've got to look ahead of you. Stop looking so much in the rearview mirror and behind you, and thinking about what you had, or what you lost, or what you wish you had. And just be grateful and thankful, and concentrate on what you do have, one step at a time, one day at a time. So maybe some of you are here today and you have an idea, or a secret family recipe, or a talent that you would like to turn into a business like I did. And let me tell you, if I can do it with chocolate chip strawberries, you can do it with your idea. Again, passion and hard work, dreams come true. So Bethany Hamilton, if you remember the movie The Soul Surfer, she's in Hawaii, and she has a quote that I love. And I just am addicted to strong, courageous Christian women that I can, learn from. And one of her quotes that I love is that I don't need easy, I just need possible. So, with God, all things are possible. So, when my business was in its 9th year, there was this new thing called the internet. And I wanted to take advantage of it. And at that point, I was limited to only sending my berries just to Sacramento. And so when I was approached by a young corporate, tech-minded entrepreneur, lawyer with the deal of a lifetime, I went in immediately. And, I'd mentioned I had no business experience or education, and I definitely did not know the 51% rule. I was so excited to have a partner. I didn't know I was supposed to get my own lawyer. I thought he was my lawyer. So it took me about a year to realize I had agreed to a really bad business deal. And over the course of the next 10 years, when my business was about 20 years old, I was chipped away at and lost equity in my company, and I fell below that 51% line. I was miserable. I found myself in the boardroom instead of the inventing room, and it just wasn't any fun. It wasn't any fun at all. Let me tell you, bigger is not always better. During this time, though, I learned the fact that we become stronger and we learn the most when we're having difficult times in our life, not when we don't have a care in the world and life is free and easy, and we're, trotting along. And it was a hard time. When the company was then in its about 20th year, with me below that 51% line after the .gone era and everything, the board of directors voted me out and sold the company off to another company, and it was gone. My baby was gone. 20 years of blood and sweat and tears with my name on it was no longer mine. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I would survive. I really didn't. And so, people ask me how I got through that. And I have to tell you that my faith really got me through it. During that time, I realized that dipping strawberries in chocolate was not who I was. It was just what I did. And that, we live in a fallen world where change and hardship and disappointments are unavoidable. But discouragement, especially for us entrepreneurs, is a choice. And it turned out that God was definitely more interested in my character than my comfort. And I just didn't understand, though, why God would allow this to happen. And how could any beauty come from this brokenness? And during this time, I read an article that somebody had done research on successful entrepreneurs in our country. And what they found was that the majority of all successful entrepreneurs had their biggest success right after their biggest failure. And that was proof to me that entrepreneurs are not quitters. And I also, because of my faith, I was so grateful to understand and accept the importance of forgiveness. Unforgiveness does more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than the object on which it is poured. And I decided that I needed to respond rightly to what God had allowed to happen in my life. So now what? I needed to follow my own advice. I had been a public speaker for years, marketing my berries, and talked about having fun. So now what was I going to do? And shortly after I lost the company, I got a book deal, a traditional book deal with Pelican Publishing, and they published my book in hardcover overnight nationwide. It was in every Barnes and Noble. And it was at that time I started taking my speaking more seriously. I joined the National Speaking Association, their academy, and in 11 months, my public speaking was catapulted to more of a professional level, and I went with it. It's what I had. It's what I had to work with. My book is a dozen chapters, like a dozen berries on my most famous gift box, and each chapter is a different lesson that I learned while I took my passion and hobby and turned it into profits. And yes, there's a big chapter on mistakes. Mistakes aren't always so bad, especially when we can learn a lot from them. Mistakes can become very valuable because we don't want to ever repeat them again. And then, of course, there's a chapter on just start. Famous hockey player Wayne Gretzky, he once quoted, "You're always going to miss 100% of the shots that you never take." And so just start little, get some business cards from Vistaprint and start trading your product or your service with friends and family and get your feet wet and just get out there. Another lesson that I learned during my career is the importance of wisdom and surrounding yourself with wisdom, kind of like you're doing today by spending an hour here with me and getting some little nuggets to motivate you this year. So one of the scriptures that I love that backs this is from Proverbs, and I'm going to read it, Proverbs 3:13. And it's, "Happy is the person who finds wisdom, for the profits of wisdom is better than silver, and her wages are better than gold." So, when I was in my early 20s as a mortgage broker and stockbroker, on fire for just so driven, my definition of success at that point was what kind of car did I drive? You know, how much money did I have in the bank? That kind of thing. And since then, I've come to really understand and grasp hold of the fact in the second half of my life that the most important things in life are not things that you can see, but the things that you can't see, like, you know, love and joy, peace and patience, and they're even eternal. So that was another great lesson. So a few years ago, you know, my book has inspired me back so much because I get a lot of comments and um, contacted by people that are really inspired to, you know, get motivated and take their little idea out for a spin. And um, one night I was going to bed and I was checking my cell phone to see if I had any messages before I went to bed. And there was a message in the subject line in all uppercase and all these exclamation points said, "You saved my life." I was like, what's that? Is like spam or something. So I opened it up and here was this amazing email from this young gal. I put a picture of her up on the screen because after I read it, I Googled her and I found her. Her name is Neat. Her nickname is Neat, and she's in North Carolina. And she started telling me this roundabout story about how she wasn't living her life correctly, and that somebody that wanted to inspire her gave her a copy of my book. They wanted to encourage her to market her mind instead of her body. Neat told me that she escaped human trafficking because of my book, and that as a young girl, she loved watching her aunt bake. She told me that my book was her business school as she started her own little cupcake bakery. And today, you know, Neat is successful, and she at one point was helping other gals by giving them a copy of my book and helping them to escape human trafficking and start their own cupcake bakery. So when I looked in her eyes, look at her, those big brown eyes, I'm like, okay, there's my beauty, God. There's my beauty from my brokenness. So if my little berry story can save a girl's life, sign me up, right? So, you know, we just got to work with what we got. And today, I started Buried in Chocolate, a new chocolate little business that I have. And I did that because you know, when I speak, I give everybody berries, and you know, I'm kind of over losing Shari's berries. You got to move on. It's like a old boyfriend breaking up. Move on. So I started getting all these comments that how could they get berries from me? Because the berries at Shari's berries were just not the same anymore. You know, there was no Shari there anymore. So I started doing some investigating, and I saw that, you know, big corporate mass production. And so I'd never agreed to non-compete. I know that I have the right to share all day long that I'm Shari of Shari's Berries, and you just got to move with me over to Buried in Chocolate if you want the same quality and that great customer service that you knew from years past. So that's where you'll find, you know, we got a lot of holidays coming up, and I'd be a horrible entrepreneur if I didn't remind you, make sure you go to Buried in Chocolate. Make sure you're on the right website when you order. And I'm back in the inventing room, having fun again. This is my new product called Grapeful. It's a chocolate dip grapes, and we dip the whole cluster in chocolate, and they're dust with edible gold, and you can send them to somebody anywhere in the country and tell them how grateful you are for them. So, you know, be grateful. I am going to move over here. This is my new wine. We live in the Fairplay wine region in California. We're in the foothills between San Francisco and Lake Tahoe. You'd fly into Sacramento. And we live in this amazing wine country. It's like the next little Napa. And we raised our boys here. And so I started our own wine line. And it's chocolate dip too. Dip everything in chocolate. And my book is also dipped in chocolate. It's trademarked, the first book in the world of calories. So you can send it to somebody and they can enjoy the chocolate while they read my story and get inspired. Little chocolate covered passion. So this is my new passion project. It's called Bed and Berries. And we converted our property here. We have 10 acres up in the Fairplay wine region. So peaceful. It's definitely God's country. And I converted the property into a bed and breakfast. half of it, and it's wonderful. So please come up and stay with us. It's a sweet retreat, and you'll love to get away, and you'll enjoy my chocolates and our wine each evening. And then my other ministry, my ministry that I started, that my bed and breakfast supports, is Boys and Berries. And I'm heading there on Saturday to Mexico to follow up with some of the families and people that I'm supporting there. It's definitely my new major passion project. But there's kids in Puerto Vallarta that actually live at the dump. They need to get educated to break that chain of no education so they have a better future. And I'm just in love with these kids. So this is boysandberries.org, and you can learn more about that from my website. So passion is important. So I just want to remind everybody, again, focus on what's important, have your priorities in the right order, do what you love. This whole last year went by so fast. And at the beginning of the year, I did a Rick Warren study on living through eyes of faith instead of fear. And I also learned that it's impossible to worry and worship at the same time. So I am focusing and trusting and living through eyes of faith and choosing to worship instead of worry. And once we find God's purpose for our life, I'm telling you, it's fantastic. So I just wanted to take a quick minute to just kind of do a transition prayer as we transition into a little Q&A. We're going to do a giveaway, and make sure you get that free offer from me. But I just want to, just thank God and just pray for all of you for peace and quiet in this noisy world, to be able to hear the Holy Spirit. Praying to God is our way to talk to him, but being in God's word is his way to talk to us. Have your priorities in the right order. Find your purpose. God made us all with a purpose, and when we can find that, we're just on fire, And just remember that our spiritual gifts that God's blessed us with are not for us. They're for others. We are a vessel for him to use us to bless others. And in Jesus, I just want you to all just be really blessed from this hour that we have together. Okay, so we're going to open this up to a Q&A. And, I talked about the importance of wisdom and surrounding yourself by people that can lift you up. And just, I like to hang out with people and learn from people that have what I don't have. And a few months ago, I was on Clubhouse, this new app, and there's this chick on there that man, I wish I had half her energy and her gift of gab, because I am just crazy about her. And so we've been able to work together on a few projects, and she's here today, and we're going to see if we can add her. Here she is. Here's Sanja. Hi, Sanja. Are you in Louisiana? I can't hear you. Unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay.
Yay.
I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Okay, hold on. Okay. How are you?
Hi, Sanja.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us today. I just, man, she's just amazing. And this is an example for me. Like, she has what I want. And so I'm surrounding myself to try to feed off of her energy.
Wait. What do I have? You have what I want.
What, chocolate? I'll send you. I already told you I was sending you chocolate. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just love, Shari and I met on Clubhouse, and I just love Shari's energy, and I just love her story, right? It is such a comeback story. And, I've had her on in my Clubhouse rooms a couple of times, just sharing that story to help motivate so many people. It's a true story of resilience, but just the faith that she has. She's so much stronger. Like, I didn't even really know Shari before that, when all that happened. But there's just something in me that tells me she is stronger now. She has a stronger faith now. She is happier now. She is more joyful, more content, more peaceful. Like, that is the sense that I get from her. And that can only come from her, like her strong faith in God and her courage to see this thing through, and to just let God take her through it and navigate it. And so I'm just glad to know her. And it is a story that I share with many other people. And I say, tell them, don't you dare buy from Shari's Berries. Like, you better make sure you go to Berries. So I put it on Facebook. And so many people didn't know that. They didn't know that, Shari. And so I tell them whenever I can, and I share your story. And, I'm always glad to have you in my club and in my rooms on Clubhouse to share your story. So glad to be here today.
Thank you, Sanja. Yeah, I mean, when I talk about the grapes, it's like no sour grapes. Nobody wants to hear, I don't want to be negative about Shari's Berries because that's just not the way I roll. I'd rather just, people are naturally finding us because they're just not the same and they want the best. And when you send a gift, okay, like when I buy something for myself, I might chintz a little bit, but when you're buying a special gift for somebody else, you want the best. And people don't realize that they're not sending the best because, people getting these gifts, they don't want to say, hey, something's wrong. They just want to be appreciative because it's more of the sentiment and everything. So, hey, so we're going to open it up to does anybody have any questions? We're looking at our chat. So if anybody, I know Sanja's always full of questions, but if anybody has any questions, just put it there in the comment section. And we're going to take just a couple minutes to answer some of those. And we'll start out with maybe one of Sanja's ones.
Yeah,
and, we're going to do some giveaways. So stay tuned.
And I'm looking to see if there's some questions in the chat as well. So I will
there's a big chat here.
Yeah, and just make sure that you don't miss any.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I'll make sure you don't miss any. But
yeah, we're good. Yep, customer is always right. That's for sure.
So Shari, one of the things that I have always I'm all for pursuing your passion and doing what you love in your business. You've lost that. You lost your first business. You built it back up, but you are still having fun. You are still enjoying yourself. How do you keep that element in everything that you do? Because Clubhouse is my main platform, and so many people are on the hustle and grind. It's the hustle and grind mentality. It's the work 24/7. But how do you keep that element of passion and enjoyment and fun in what you do?
Well, I sleep really well. I don't think a lot of us realize how important sleep is. When I was a little girl, I used to ask my mom if it was time for my nap yet. And all the other moms thought I was a weirdo or something, because I love my sleep and I always have given into that. And I got to have at least 8 or 9 hours of sleep a night or I can feel it. I know. Wow. I know it's crazy, but I have to. And so I give myself that. And just planning, you got to put yourself on your schedule. You got to schedule in some fun. You got to schedule in time with family. You got to schedule in some vacation time. You can't afford to not take a vacation because recharging those batteries makes you so much more productive when you come back. Definitely. So I see we have a question on what group you have on Clubhouse.
And someone asked, they asked, what is Clubhouse?
Clubhouse is amazing. Send me your cell phone number. I'm going to put up my little banner here. I don't know if it's here now.
So I'll just explain that while you're kind of checking that out. So Clubhouse is an audio app. So it is a lot like listening to a podcast on the go. So it's an audio app through your phone, and you're literally jumping in and out of rooms of different topics and listening to the conversation. But you can also raise your hand to go to the stage of the room and actually participate in the conversation. So it's all audio, but they have made so many new features and so many leaps and bounds with this particular app. Like now, if you miss a room that you really like or a club that you really like, you can actually save it and you can go back and listen to it later. So I was in a couple of travel rooms because I'm a digital nomad and so I'm a traveler. And so I was participating in a few conversations earlier, but it is like podcast on the go. So if you love podcasts, it's going to be the perfect app for you. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. It's amazing. And if you send me, I have my email address up on the screen right now. And if you want to get an invitation from me to join Clubhouse, and get in some of her rooms. You just send me an email to that link, and I will send you an invitation right away this week.
Yeah, and my club is Get Out of Your Own Way, which is something that I feel a lot of people are doing. They are literally standing in their own way. So I hold a lot of rooms about helping them overcome limiting thoughts and sabotaging behaviors. I'm a professional purpose to profit life coach. And so I deliberately hold rooms where I'm giving tips and tools and strategies to help them get out of their own way. So that's the name of my club if you're on Clubhouse. And
there's a thing with tapes, these tapes in our head. I do that. We all do it. We are our own worst enemy sometimes and sabotage our motivation. So it's good to be surrounded by others and put your ideas out there, share your concerns, because just getting it out of your head and voicing it helps you to have more peace in your life for sure.
So Shari,
Kelly, there you go. Hey, Kelly, she's got 2 little babies on her lap tonight screaming. So she wants to know, can you talk more about balancing business and family? As a mom of 2 young boys who also runs a business, it is a big challenge to balance it all. Oh man, I've been there, Kelly. I had 3 little boys. I told you earlier today, you're gonna wait till you get the 3rd one. I thought, how could I ever go to the grocery store with 3 little kids? I mean, I'll never be able to go shopping in a grocery store ever again, So, but it does work out. So again, I mentioned earlier, having your priorities in the right order, and you have to learn to say no. Is this so valuable to me that I'm going to stress myself out or not have that time with my family that I could have in exchange for going to that women's event? Really, I mean, slow down a little bit. You're talking about that hustle and grind. Man, it's just not worth it. How fast did last year go by? Stop. Smell those roses, smell those strawberries, and have some fun and realize what's most important in your life. And the other thing I could say is what's taking up your time that you could delegate to somebody else. That is so important. For example, a housekeeper. Well, I can't afford to have a housekeeper. Where you can't afford not to. If you could spend that time of your day with your kids or away with your kids or having some fun or doing something you're really good at it's a strength of yours and it can excel if you have that extra hour, hire somebody to clean your house, even help you with your house. So put your family first, have your priorities, get yourself on the schedule a little bit. Here's another question. How do you not become bitter about your company being taken away from you? Like, what do you do when you start to remember the time and get mad? Yeah, I went through a lot of that. Time does heal. Time does heal. And it's water under the bridge. It's spilled milk. There's nothing you can do to change it. So you got to let it go. You got to forgive them and you got to let them go because they don't even care about it. They don't spend any time worrying about you or thinking about that. You're letting them continue to make you bitter, continue to get you mad, and you've got to let it go because they don't deserve it. Look forward, be grateful for what you do have, learn from your mistakes, and move forward because God has something better in mind. My friend Joy, who led me to the Lord, she used to talk about life as a quilt. When you're making a quilt, it looked from the underneath, if you're just looking underneath the quilt, the knots, the ties, and the strings, it looks ugly. But God sees our life from the top of the quilt, and he sees the beauty and the pattern and the perfection. So, our imperfections and our scars and our inadequacies are so much more interesting than any of our success, always. So I'm going to take a little break here. I have Marnie, who is heading up the summit. She would like to come in here and give everybody a little message. Here we go. So Marnie's trying to get in here, so I'm going to let Marnie in here for just a minute real quick, and then we're going to do some giveaways. really quick here. Here's Marnie.
Are you enjoying this? I'm so glad you're here, and I'm excited that in just a minute we're going to announce the winners here for this session. You do have to be present to win a prize. However, anybody can ask for the swag gifts anytime over at the speaker session pages, so be sure to go over there and request the swag gift. At the bottom of her page also, you'll find how to connect with her socially. We'd love for you to follow us, friend us, tweet us like that, and keep the connection going. Let's not end this today. Let's keep it going all the way through 2022 and beyond. We're excited to have you here. I hope that you will take a moment and tell a friend about Best You 2022. It doesn't end. You know, a lot of summits and conferences have you pay for the whole privilege to listen to the tapes later, but this is all free today and going forward. So you can invite your friends to listen anytime. They can download the schedule at the site, get a free ticket and download the schedule, and they can tune in whenever they have time. And you can go back and catch the sessions that you maybe missed later when you have a moment. I'm so glad you're here. This is an opportunity that I have to tell you thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for dedicating your life to Christ. Thank you for letting him live through you and shine through you. And God bless you and keep you and expand your territory in 2022.
Okay, thank you, Marnie. Okay, so we're going to go into these giveaways. So want to make sure everybody's ready. Now, it's going to be really easy. You don't have to know the answer to anything because I'm going to give you the answer. And the first person to put it into the comment section is going to be the winner. We're going to have 2 rounds. Each winner is going to get a $25 gift card and a copy of my book. So the first one we're going to do is going to be about a scripture that I love. Okay, so there's a scripture that I love. Marnie said pick your favorite. It's like picking your favorite child. It's not, at least not possible for me. So there's so many. So there's a scripture that I love, and every time I autograph my Buried in Chocolate book, I put a reference to this scripture. And it's in Psalms, and I've got my Bible here, and I'm going to share it with you. It's in Psalms, and it says, no good thing will the Lord withhold from those who do what is right. And, God is going to give us the means to walk along the path that he wants for our life. I mean, I've learned there's a big difference between what we want and what we need, but we have to do the walking. So when we obey God, he will not hold anything back that will keep us from serving him and doing his purpose. So what you're going to do, I'm going to tell you the number of the scripture now, and all you have to do is put in the name of the chapter and then the verse. So there's going to be 2 sets of numbers. You drop them in the comment section, and then you will win. So this scripture, and I hope you enjoy it too, and maybe meditate on it a little bit tomorrow morning when you wake up, is Psalm 84:11. So whoever puts in 84:11 first will be our first winner. There we go. Mim. Oh, Julia, you're right behind her. Hi, Julia. Love you. Nice seeing all of you guys here. Okay, so Minerva. Wow. Minerva, I have my email address here on the screen. Would you email me your contact information so we can get you your prize? Okay. All right. So the next giveaway that Marnie wanted us to do is going to tie in to my salvation story. And it's a little bit different, but again, I'm going to give you the answer towards the end. And the first person to put it in the comments will win our second prize of a gift card and copy of my Buried in Chocolate book. So I'm to tell you a little bit about my salvation. And I just want to tell you that I was born and raised in the Catholic Church. And I'm grateful that, as a young girl, I learned and accepted the Trinity. and what that is all about. You know, God tells us we need to be childlike. And so I'm grateful for my time as a child growing up in the Catholic Church. And to learn that Jesus is God in the flesh. So just before I was married to Clay, I was a speaker at an event, and I met a gal named Joy Moore. And Joy Moore had the gift of evangelism, and I talk about Joy in my book. And she invited me to go to Bible study. And so I went, and I was really excited. In fact, she gave me my first Bible, and she helped me to understand what it meant to be a Christian, that it's nothing that I could inherit from my parents, but it needed to be a personal relationship that I had with my Savior and with Jesus. And I was always very interested in the Bible, but I'd never had one of my own. So the Bible interests me, and she gave me my first one, and I was in Bible study. And a few weeks later, I'm during Bible study in my living room. I'm going to actually pull up my book right here, because here's my business book. And in the middle is my testimony, which is just classic. But I just want to read just quickly about Joy. We were in my home doing a private Bible study, and she read aloud Romans 10:9. For if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God, and it is by confessing with your mouth that you are saved. She asked me if I was ready, and I said, oh boy, was I. I had felt that I had been ready my whole life. All these years, I had Jesus in my head, but not in my heart. You know, some people miss heaven by 18 inches, the distance from your head to your heart. It's got to be personal. So I'm going to ask you for this competition, this last prize. How old was I when I received Christ and I was saved and started my personal journey with him? So the age that I was when I became a Christian was 26. I was 26 years old, and I'm watching our comment section, and let's see who goes in there first. Let's see. Okay, Heidi. I think I saw Heidi come up. Oh no, Julie. Oh no. Who? Oh, wow, look at all these. Sanja, Ella, E-L-A, Ella. So Ella, please send me a message to my email address that's on the screen, just Shari@sharifitzpatrick.com, with your information so that we can send you your prize. Okay. So we're getting ready to wind up this hour. It's just been so much fun to be here with all of you. And my hope for all of you is that you find sweet success in all of your efforts. But always remember that there's a difference between making a living and making a life. So it is an honor for a berry dipper to be with all of you today. And I hope to hear from you and be in touch with you. And we're going to end our session now so that you have time to go on to the next session in this international summit that's launched today. So thank you so much, you guys. It's been a pleasure. Love you. Remember the real Shari. Thank you.